Hey everybody, this is D Hunter, bringing another action figure review. Today, we're going to be looking at the Bandai Stranger Things, the Void series Demogorgon. Now, some of the figures from the Void series I've had mixed feelings on, but this Demogorgon looks fantastic. He looks large, massive, well articulated, and well detailed. So let's go and check out the packaging, and it's a very large package. The top, Netflix, ages 15 plus. Stranger Things, the Void series, Demogorgon by Bandai. The top, Stranger Things, one side totally blank, other side, Stranger Things, the Void series. This is the 5th figure in that line. The back side, there's the Demogorgon. So with no further ado, let's open him up. And I did end up getting 2 of these figures. I like to double these up as both the Demogorgon and as possibly a Poison Ivy plant hybrid monster creation in my Batman action figure world. Alright, now that we got this figure out of the package, here it is with all its accessories laid out. That's kind of a joke, as it comes with absolutely no accessories, although I'm not sure what a Demogorgon should come with. Upon first glance, this figure looks pretty nice. It's very large, very articulated, and the sculpt seems pretty good. So this is part of Bandai's The Void series. There are currently 4 human figures, and this guy. There are also some crappier versions of the Demogorgon, and we'll check those out later in the video. In this video, we'll take a look at the figure, his articulation, his height. We'll check him out with a bunch of other Bandai Stranger Things figures, and some McFarlane Stranger Things figures. More importantly, which one is better, the Bandai Demogorgon or the McFarlane version? They're both very nice. We'll determine that later in the video. So let's take a look at him. Starting with his head here. Big, open, flower-looking petals. Got teeth on the inside. It's got a lot of detail. Bristles, gums, whatever the hell that stuff is. It looks really good. I wish one company would give us an articulated head or some swappable heads so it could be shut and open. Backside. See a nice amount of sculpt and detail on the skin. Paint is not one solid color. There's some variation in there. He's got a ton of articulation, but God, is it loud and tight and annoying. Do you hear that? That is just really horrible and annoying. It's not just that one. It's freaking all over the figure. Double jointed knees, lower knees. Looks like double jointed elbows. Possibly 2 ball joints here. Ton of articulation, but God, is it tight and annoying and loud. Beyond that, he looks good. Some of the gaps look bad depending on how you pose him, so keep an eye on that. But so far, I'm pleased. It looks better than most of the other Bandai Void series figures. And as you guys already know, I've got 2 of these Demogorgon figures. I got 2 of them so I could use them for Poison Ivy plant hybrid creations. They look like they have heads that are similar to flowers, so I imagine Poison Ivy do some experiments, mixing plant and animal DNA, coming up with this organic plant hybrid. I got a couple of McFarlane versions for the same reason, and I've really liked them ever since. So when I found out these, I had to do the same. And just a closer look at his head and face sculpt, it's actually pretty nice. Now that we've taken a pretty good look at the figure, now let's check out his height. From bottom to the top of his head, he's standing at about 10.25 inches tall, which can translate to about 26 centimeters. And this guy's in the 6-inch scale, so a 10-inch figure in the 6-inch scale, he's about 10 feet tall. Now let's check out his articulation. Starting with his head here, of course, it can rotate from side to side. Can look up just the littlest bit, not too much there. Shoulders on a ball joint, you can just hear how loud those things are. So loud and tight. Makes me worried I'm going to break them a little bit. Goes up about 90 degrees. Up, down, around, all that good stuff. Kind of drop down to elbows a little bit there. Can look really bad depending on how you have that arm posed. Double jointed elbows, they go all the way in. His wrist here, it's got a ball in it, can rotate, and it's going to be hinged as well. Just everything is loud in this guy. Makes it really annoying to use him. He's got what looks like a ball joint here, but actually looks like two separate pieces permanently attached. No articulation point here. Ball joint his waist, rotates around just the tiniest bit, goes forward and back. His legs completely does splits. Ball joints here. They have nice rotation. Forward, about that far. Back, not too much. Double jointed knees, they go all the way in. His second set of knees, it's almost like hooves for his legs. Also has rotation here. Then he has rotation on his toes, and then go forward and back a little bit. And now, the question I was most curious about, is it better than the McFarlane version? And I'll tell you, I'm pretty biased, as I really like McFarlane toys, and I've liked this Demogorgon for a long time, so it's going to take a lot to beat this thing. That being said, they're almost the exact same height. They scale up great together. This is the Bandai version. This is the McFarlane one. I'd say their heads both look fantastic. I'm probably going to give it to the McFarlane one by a hair. There are pros and cons. You can see the teeth or bristles or whatever a lot better on this one. This one, a little bit glossier. I don't know, just as a whole, I think I prefer this guy. Like I said, pros and cons to both. Going further down, I like the kind of plastic and sort of paint a little better on the McFarlane one. This one looks more plasticky. This one looks a little more realistic. You can see the pins here on the McFarlane, kind of ugly. But this guy here has all these gaps and this horribly loud and stiff articulation. Never really been a fan of McFarlane's older style, sort of hips. Same time, I'm not a fan of his either. Maybe his look a little better down here. Single jointed knees, McFarlane. Double on Bandai. As a whole, I'm probably going to give it to McFarlane, but the articulation is definitely way better on the Bandai, although really loud and annoying to use. Here are the four kids from Stranger Things being terrorized by the Demogorgon. He's coming closer and closer. And just a little more of an aerial shot of the entire scenario. Now let's check them out. Next to some of their action figures. Starting off with some of their Bandai Stranger Things figures. And let's not forget, I did get two of these Demogorgons. Here are these Demogorgons next to the Series 1 humans from Bandai's Stranger Things The Void series. We have Hopper and 11. Now I'm really curious. There's another version of Hopper by Bandai, and it's like a $100 version. If anyone has any information about this, drop me a line in the comments below. I see it available at Big Bad Toy Store, and it looks to be the exact same figure with an axe and maybe an alternate head with a hat on it. Why the hell would that thing be $100? If anyone has some light to shed on that, let me know. That being said, these figures are far too expensive for what they are. The human figures retailed for $30, and the Demogorgon for $40. And you know what? I can see the Demogorgon being $40, but those humans, they look bad, and they cost that much. Their articulation is awful. I do not understand how Bandai can justify charging that much. Walmart and Target that bought tons of these things got totally ripped off by Bandai. And here they are, next to the second assortment of humans, Eddie and 11. I would say Eddie is by far the best human character that Bandai's made. Here are these two larger Demogorgons, part of the Void series, next to these smaller, more basic versions. These things can barely move. I think only their arms up and down. Frankly, they suck. They were also crazy overpriced. Not on scale with the rest of the line. And that's where this large Demogorgon comes in. And here they are, next to a couple of Demo Dogs, Dart figures. And then, here they are next to the glow-in-the-dark version of the Demogorgon. This is the same mold as the basic one, but of course, he glows in the dark. Also, looks even crappier than the crappy versions. Here they are, next to Bandai's Demobat. Talk about a ripoff. This thing retails for $18.99. This thing is small, zero articulation. It looks like it should cost about $4. Bandai has really ripped off these retailers. Now let's check them out. Next to some McFarlane Stranger Things toys. Here they are, next to the McFarlane Demogorgon. These figures are all very nice. They're about the same scale. I do lean more toward the McFarlane version, as the type of plastic they use, I just like it better. I think the detailing is a little bit better. The articulation is perhaps a little bit less. but it's a lot more pleasant to use and move around. These are absolutely fantastic creatures for my poison ivy base. Their head looks like an open flower with the petals. They seem like sort of a cross between a plant and an animal, a hybrid poison ivy creation. Here are these Demogorgons, next to some of the kids from McFarlane Stranger Things line. I actually liked the line, although that was before McFarlane started making figures quite as good as they do today. Being as how these Demogorgons scale exactly the McFarlane ones, these kids scale pretty nicely with them. Then, next to McFarlane's 11 figures, they made 3 of them. And here they are, next to a couple more miscellaneous McFarlane Stranger Things figures. We have Upside Down Will, and then Barbara, and then here are these Demogorgons next to these Stranger Things kids in their Ghostbuster costumes. Such a cool concept, and very appropriate for the world of Stranger Things. Here they are, next to McFarlane's Hopper figures. I actually got a total of 4 of these Chief Hopper figures. I did some head swaps and customizing, just to have some additional police officers for my Batman world. And then speaking of Poison Ivy plant creations, here are these Demogorgons next to all the different Poison Ivy figures that I have. Now let's check them out. Next to some other plant, hybrid, Poison Ivy creation type action figures. Here they are, next to a couple of plant creatures. These are by Schleich. We'll start off with some of these smaller, crappier ones I have, and work way larger and nicer. And here they are, next to a bunch of older, smaller Kenner Swamp Thing figures. Here they are, next to a couple of Ninja Turtle Snakeweed figures. And here, next to a Godzilla villain by Alante. I think this is also made by Bandai. And now, with a couple of Resident Evil plant monsters. These are probably one of my favorite Poison Ivy monsters that I have. Then, next to a couple of Hasbro Marvel Legends group figures. They also fit the criteria. And here, next to a couple of Mattel Master of the Universe Mossman figures. And here, with a couple of Toy Biz Lord of the Rings Treebeard figures. And here, with a giant Toy Biz Lord of the Rings Treebeard figure. And while I don't use these for Poison Ivy creations in my action figure world, here they are, next to a Swamp Thing figure. This one's by DC Direct. And here, next to all 3 variations of the McFarlane Swamp Thing. Now let's check them out, next to some action figures from different various companies, to see how they fit in both scale and style-wise, in case you want to know which lines you can mix them with. These Demogorgons are large, oversized deluxe figures. These particular ones are intended to work with a 6-inch scale, but they'll work with the 6 or 7-inch scale, or probably even the 5-inch scale. I'm going to go ahead and start off my comparisons with some of the larger action figure lines I collect, and work way smaller. Here they are, next to some Jakks-specific wrestling figures, and here they are, next to some DST or Diamond Select toys. Here they are, next to some McFarlane toys. Then, with some DC Direct and DC Collectibles figures, and here, with some NECA figures. Then, with some Mattel wrestling figures. And now, next to some Jazzwares AEW wrestlers. And here they are, next to some Mezco 1/12 collective figures. Then, with some Mattel DC Universe Classics and Multiverse figures. And here they are, with some Mafex figures. Then, with some Hasbro Marvel Legends. And here they are, next to some SH Figure Arts action figures. And finally, next to some Jazzwares Fortnite figures. Overall, these are some cool figures, but they're grossly overpriced. $40? I don't think so. These guys should be about $30. And for that matter, the human figure should be about $15, not $30. They're just not that good. Now, their sculpt and paint job are pretty nice. Their articulation is good, although it's very tight and very squeaky. Their accessories are non-existent, although I don't have any suggestions what a Demogorgon should come with. As a whole, I find them inferior to the McFarlane version. I think the McFarlane sculpt is better. Their plastic is better. Their articulation is inferior, but I still prefer to move those figures than these ones. If I were to rate these guys, I'm probably going to give them a 6.5 out of 10. And for a pricey figure like this, I wish I could rate them higher. Let me know what you guys think is better, the Bandai or the McFarlane Demogorgon. So this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you liked the video, press like below. If you have anything you want to say about the video, add to the comment section. If you want to see additional action figure reviews from me, press subscribe. I do appreciate when you do that. Once again, This is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I will talk to you guys real soon.